So we're going to try and knock out some serious pages in this book that I want to share with you, and I'll try to expand if I need to. It is Lucky in Love by Carolyn Brown, and we're starting at page 99. The band struck up the few notes. Let's start again, shall we? The band struck up the first few notes of A Picture of Me Without You by Lorrie Morgan. As Millie entered the barn to find only a few people already at the party, Granny and Poppy had laid claim to a table on the edge of the circular dance floor. The lady singing for the band did a pretty good imitation of Lorrie, as she crooned into the microphone, expecting to see Beau and his fiancé enter the barn at any minute. And then she's supposed to break into a very different song. They were going to take a slow waltz then Beau was going to take the microphone and make a speech. Then the real dance would start up. Page 100. Jim Torres wiped his brow in mock shock. Woo! What happened to my country granddaughter? You look like one of them city women or one of them models. Millie tried to smile, but she just couldn't. Thank you, Poppy, but you are looking at me through your grandfather's rose-colored glasses. I feel out of place with my jeans and boots. I don't know what made me put this on to begin with. Beau was suddenly so close to her that she could smell his aftershave and feel his breath on her bare neck. Amelia Jimenez. He held his breath, fully expecting this girl to turn around and tell him to drop dead. Jim laughed. No, not Amelia Jimenez, just Millie. Camilla Torres. Her mother was a Jimenez. Angelina Jimenez from down in the valley before she married my son. The pieces fit snugly into place, and he swallowed 3 times before he could speak. She had been right next door the whole time, and she must have known from the first day who he was. Yet she hadn't said a word. He should wring her neck, but if he put his hands on her slender neck, it wouldn't be to hurt her. His heart told him that he was looking at the woman who just fell into bed with him on a whim and then ran away before he woke. His body said he wanted more of what he remembered that night in Texarkana. Millie turned slowly to face him. Hello, Beau. I think we met a long time ago, didn't we? Only a few people call me Camilla. I guess it sounds like Amelia, doesn't it? He was afraid to blink. You're real. You're not a dream. I'm real. I'm Millie Torres, your neighbor's granddaughter. Small world, ain't it? Where's your fiancé? She broke up with me, refused to sign the agreement about the ranch, and why didn't you tell me who you were? Well, praise the Lord, Mary exclaimed. That girl wasn't the right woman for you, Beau. I don't mean to be ugly, but she was really bad news. It don't matter. Beau tried to drink in every detail of Millie's face. I'm sorry about your engagement, Millie lied. I'm not. Could I have this dance, Millie? He touched her hand and the sparks flew. Well, would you look at that, Mary said. You know, I believe that boy is thunderstruck. I guess they've met somewhere before. And he just now realized it. And I think I smell a rat, Jim said. You've known all along, haven't you? And oh my Lord, who is that? Who is it? Now, why didn't this old monkey-butt mindless fool see it before? That boy is Katie's daddy, ain't he? You figured it out the first day, and that's what you was talking about. Mary put her fingers over his mouth. Shh, he doesn't know about Katie yet. We'll have to be very quiet and let them work it all out. They don't need a couple old meddling fools like us to help them. They found each other, Lord. Jim, look at the way they danced together. Like they were made for each other, and just think about all the fun we'll have with Katie right next door. Don't count your chickens before they've hatched, Jim said with a grin. Okay, moving to page 104. Well, I guess we keep going until over to 104. Sorry. Why didn't you tell me that first day? Beau whispered in her ear. Because you were screaming and cussing, and besides I was shocked out of my mind about how the hell you got to southern Oklahoma on the farm right next to my Poppy's, she whispered back. But what about at the Spencer's barn dance when we danced? You were going to propose to Amanda, remember? The song ended and another began. Don't go, dance with me again. She nodded and he drew her even closer. What happened to you? I got out of bed and you were gone. They told me I just dreamed you and that you were never even there, he said. And I shouldn't have been. It was a mistake from the beginning. I was mad at my boyfriend and I was out to get even, so I used you. Did you go home and make up with your boyfriend? He held his breath as he waited for the answer. No, I did not. I guess we just used each other. I knew that your girlfriend just broke up with you. What did happen then? She leaned back and smiled, lighting up his world. The whole thing backfired. How's your head? You're changing the subject, but that's all right. I've got all summer to show you just how it did backfire. My head is still stitched or rather stapled. What is it? You at the hospital with me? Yes, been down here. Let me see it. She stepped back and pulled his shoulders down so she could see at the top of his head. They looked pretty clean. Here, I'll kiss it and make it all better. That was page 102, 103, and 104. I'm surprised I didn't write down 102, 103, but whatever. Page 104. I better write it down up here so when I write down the pages I get it all right. 102, 103. Now I hope I can read my handwriting. I'll try to get us up to page 130, but we'll see how well I do. So page 104. Billy kept Millie's hand in his as he approached the bandstand and reached for the microphone. Folks, this was supposed to be a party to celebrate my engagement tonight, but things took a strange turn, and Amanda and I decided we weren't cut from the same bolt of cloth. So she's gone her way, and I'm finding a new way, so we'll celebrate that instead of engagement. The tables are ready for supper, and the band will keep playing. Those of you two who haven't met Millie Torres, please come around and I'll introduce you. But don't any of you fellers ask for a dance. She already promised them all to me tonight. She raised an eyebrow. Oh, did I? Yes, ma'am. He took her in his arms, and they waltzed out into the middle of the floor to It's Your Love by Faith Hill and Tim McGraw. The black brooding feeling of something very wrong evaporated through the wooden rafters of the barn, and a lighter mood of something entirely right replaced it. Smiles replaced grimaces, and even the band members brightened up with a livelier crowd to play to. Millie felt as though she was sitting on a keg of dynamite, and fuse was getting shorter and shorter. Any minute her whole world was going to explode and big enough to rock the whole state of Texas, and Oklahoma too. But until the blast, she was going to enjoy dancing in the big barn in the arms of the only man who ever made her soul complete. Now let's talk about the past 2 years, Beau said. Are you for real? Am I going to wake up in a little while and this is all going to be a dream too? She pinched his arms so solidly. Ouch, he looked at her, disbelief on his face. Could this really be the woman who had kissed his head so gently just minutes before? Did that hurt? Hell yes, it hurt, he said. Good. I'm not an angel. I'm a real woman, and you're not dreaming. This is a real night, and it was a real night 2 years ago. I shouldn't have let things go as far as they did, but that's water under the bridge. I can't undo it now, but rest assured I'm not an angel. I'm full of spit and vinegar. Wasn't it you who asked just weeks ago why I was so grouchy early in the morning, and you accused me of being a bossy witch? After tonight, you'll probably be glad that I was gone when you woke up that morning. Ain't damn likely. You've gotten 2 years to make me into a perfect woman. Now I've got a summer to show you that I'm not perfect. I've got a hellacious temper, and I can be a hard-headed and holiness preacher at a revival meeting, and you can tell me to back off any time you want to. Like I said, it ain't damn likely. Was it your earring that got lost in the bedroom that night? I found a silver teardrop on the floor next to my boot. She stopped and pulled back her dark hair to reveal the matching to his earring. I figured I lost it in your bedroom. He reached in his pocket and drew out the matching earring on the keychain. You didn't lose it. You just left it for me to find you with. Can I have it back now? Beau put the earring back in his pocket. No, it's mine. It's all I've had for 2 years of a dream. I've just begun to think that it couldn't be real, and I think I'll just keep it. What are you doing? Jim asked Buster. Looks like they're comparing her earring to his keychain. Buster was so excited he was all but shouted. Well, I'll be damned. She's Amelia. That boy's been carrying that earring in his pocket for 2 years. Said he was down at the cousin's wedding in Texarkana, met a woman, and she lost her earring. Said that all the boys thought he just dreamed her up, and he kept saying her name was Amelia. Camelia, Mary told him. He misunderstood Millie's full name as Camelia. Buster slapped his knee. Well, hot damn, he's been in love with her for 2 years, and now we find out it's our Millie. Okay, so that was page 106. We're going to page 118. Jim winked at Millie. I do believe that Beau was struck with old Cupid's bow last night. He didn't let you out of his sight but twice. That's only because you had to go to the little girl's room. Oh, Poppy, Amanda just broke their engagement, and he only needed someone to dance with so everybody there wouldn't be feeling sorry for him. Jim chuckled. Sure, darling, you don't believe that lie, and neither do I. When's he coming over here to see you? I didn't think he was even going to let you drive away last night. Began to think we were going to have to send for the preacher right there and then there. Beau isn't coming over here today. If he's not going to church, he's got work to do. And after church, I'm taking Katie for a long walk around the ranch, she declared. The words were only scarcely out of her mouth when Beau came knocking on the sliding glass patio door leading out to the porch. He slid the door open, and when Jim motioned to him to come inside. "Morning, folks. Thought I might talk Hilda out of a biscuit this morning." Hilda pointed toward the buffet. "Help yourself. Biscuits, sausage, gravy, pancakes. Take your choice. And just to be clear the air right now, I'm not sorry that hateful woman broke off your engagement. Even if you think it's the end of the world today, you'll see better in a few weeks. Just count your lucky stars and realize that there's an angel on your side." He nodded and picked up a plate and helped himself and pulled up the chair beside Millie. "Yes, ma'am, I can sure believe that there's an angel taking care of old Beau. I was just wondering if it would be all right if I kidnapped your granddaughter this Sunday morning after church services, though we might take a little picnic lunch over to the park in Sulphur and get our feet wet in the water at Little Niagara. It's colder, the snow, even in this time of year, but—" "Don't ask me," Jim grinned. "Millie's free to do whatever she wants. I think she can make up her own mind about spending the afternoon with her, so ask her, not me, son." Beau turned his head so he could see her, and his heart skipped 2 beats. She was beautiful in a faded t-shirt and a pair of cut-off short jeans with frayed edges. He didn't intend to ever let her go out of his sight again, at least not for more than a few days. "What do you say, Millie?" "Sorry, Beau. I'm in and out all week with ranching business. Sundays I devote entirely to Katie. We go to church, and afterwards I play with her all afternoon. I was planning on taking Miss Katie to the park with us. She'll love the nature center. There's bugs, snakes, all kinds of things. And we can even take a blanket for when she runs her little legs out and gets sleepy. Maybe we'll forget Little Niagara and take her to the creek that runs through the park. The water is shallow there, and the sun warms up so she won't freeze." He slathered butter on a biscuit and popped a crusty cheek into his mouth. "Oh, all right, but she's demanding, and you'll probably be ready to throw us both in the river before the day's out." "Wonder where she gets that demanding business from," Mary teased. Beau finished the last breakfast. "Fine breakfast, Hilda. Pick you up here in an hour, Millie, and we'll go to church with Jim and Mary. Rose is fixing lunch at the ranch for us, and the picnic supper to carry along to the park, so you could bring a change of clothes, and we can get from the bar M to the park. See y'all later." He planted a kiss on Millie's cheek and was out the door before she could disagree with him. Hilda plopped down in the chair that was just vacated. "Well, did you ever? I ain't never seen that boy's eyes so blue. He's just plumb in love with you, girl." Millie fought back the urge to hold the kiss safely on her hot flaming cheek. "Oh, posh. A person doesn't fall in love with someone in a single night. He's just on the rebound from a bad affair with Amanda. Come on, baby girl, let's get you ready for church." She gave a small prayer of gratitude that Katie had been sitting on her lap and Beau couldn't really see her. Beau drove up in the yard about 10:15 in his shiny black pickup cab truck. From the window in her bedroom, Millie watched him crawl and shake the legs of his freshly starched black Wranglers down off the tops of his spit-shine black eel boots. His broad shoulders and bigger upper arms was the fabric of a white western-cut shirt. She wanted to meet him halfway to the house and drag him upstairs to her bedroom. "Stop it," she commanded her sinful thoughts, and checked herself in the cheval mirror one more time. She was nervous as a long-tailed cat in a whole room of rocking chairs. Anyone would swear she was a teenager, and this was her first date. She dabbed on a bead of sweat from the top of her upper lip and reapplied her powder. "Millie, we're going to be late," her grandmother called from the bottom of the staircase. "Beau is here, and we need to get going." She rolled her eyes to the ceiling. "Lord, I know he's here. Every fiber of my being knows that he's just arrived." She picked Katie up out of the crib. "Let's go. Just hope he can't see past the end of his nose when he looks at you, little girl." Okay, there's got to be at least a gazillion blonde-haired, blue-eyed men in this part of the country, so stop it right now, Katie Scarlett Torres. Don't you dare smile like that, and when you do, you've got dimples as deep as his. She scolded Katie, but Katie kept smiling. Beau looked up and didn't take his eyes off of Millie as she carried Katie down the stairs. Millie wore a red-white gingham-checked sundress with its straps and white kid sandals. A gold chain around her neck held from the Lazy T diamond charm her father had given her from graduation from high school, and gold stud earrings glittered with her long hair bounced. Katie peeped out from the brim of her white, blue, and checked bonnet that matched her romper. Beau could see the blonde curls wiggling out from the back of the bonnet. "Don't you ladies look beautiful? Hello, Katie, you've got the bluest eyes in the whole wide world." He opened his arms up so, to Millie's surprise, Katie reached for him. "Now, if your mama will get your car seat from her truck, I'm sure we'll get you fixed right up in old Beau's truck." Millie looked over her shoulder to find Mary and Jim looking like 2 Cheshire cats who just sautéed on a canary in wine sauce. Well, she hoped it didn't give them a case of indigestion when they figured out everything wasn't going to go just as planned. She and Beau were suited to each other as a church deacon and a 2-bit harlot. Every time they were together, except at the dance just last night and disastrous time when Katie was conceived, all they did was fight. And after today, Beau would bring her home and scuttle his tight-fitting Wranglers right back to the barroom and never return here again. When Katie slobbered all over his freshly starched white shirt or used those big silver arrowhead slide-on bolo tie for a teething ring, he'd be ready to haul her back to Jim and forget all about the drunken night of ecstasy. By the end of the day, Millie wouldn't be the angel or the lady or anything else. Her halo would be replaced with a set of horns and a pitchfork. He might even consider dropping them down on one knee and begging to even reconsider Amanda for a second chance when Katie got through initiating him into the ways of a 14-month-old baby. He held the door open with one hand and cradled Katie to the next of his shoulder with the other. And here comes Katie's saddle for the bronc. Put it right back there in the back seat, Mommy, and we'll rope her in now. And now, Miss Millie, let me help you in, and we'll get off to church. Katie, you sit right beside me and promise to keep me awake in church. Sometimes that preacher man gets to droning on, and I kind of fall asleep. You're pretty good with kids to be a bachelor, Millie said as they drove toward Ringling into the little Methodist church that her grandparents had attended forever. I like kids. Got a whole passel of nieces and nephews, and I'm their favorite uncle. I'm the baby of 6, all boys. We haven't had any nieces. Us luckadoos have big families, but we don't throw very many girls. 6 boys and twice the many grandsons. Mama keeps praying for a girl, but so far no prayers have made it to the ceiling, past the ceiling. Guess someday I'll have a whole backyard of boys too. She looked out the window to hide a grin twitching the edges of her mouth. I see. That's a lovely belt buckle. You ride bulls? Yep, he nodded. Do you a little bull riding and bronc busting? You barrel race? Yes, and also a little bull riding. You're kidding me. He cleared his throat. You really ride? Did before Katie was born, haven't since then. Picked up a few belt buckles and a lot of bruises. 8 seconds is a long time to sit back out of a ton of pure mean hell, ain't it? It sure is. Don't know many women who'd try it. Probably not many out there with 2 older brothers and who has a chip on their shoulders trying to prove that she is just as mean and tough as the boys. When they reached the church, Millie stared for the nursery with Katie, and Beau balked. Why does she have to go to the nursery? He argued as he held the baby close to his chest. She's plenty old enough to sit beside me, and I'll take her out if she gets fussy. Oh, Beau, it's for her own good. She can play in the nursery, and she won't be bored up to tears in here, Mary said, agreeing with Millie. He might have lost the battle, but he didn't have to concede the whole war. Then can I go to the nursery? Sometimes I get bored, too, and I'd rather play with, I'm waiting for the horn to toot, the baby. Oh, all right, don't look at me like that. If she can't stay in the sanctuary to keep me awake, then I get to carry her downstairs to the nursery. Deal, Millie agreed. Come on, train. Thank you. During the Sunday sermon, he draped his arm over the back of the pew and thought about Millie. Buster had been fairly well floating around on a cloud all morning long. The rest of the ranch hands kept coming around to congratulate him on roping that filly from the next ranch, Mercy, but not one of them had made much to do over Amanda. As a matter of fact, he couldn't even remember one of them congratulating him with a smile on the face after he proposed to the girl. Mostly it was a serious handshake and a wish for happiness, kind of like what they did at a time when his cousin was about to mess up really bad and marry that horrible woman. Millie fought back one of those delicious shivers when his hand touched her bare arm. No one had ever affected her the way he had. She could sit on a hard wooden pew for a few hours and smell the wonderful aroma that was Beau, a strange mixture of woodsy shaving lotion, that freshly lavender and iron church and peppermint gum. She thought about taking his hand and leading him back to the Sunday school room, but she didn't know how good she was at dodging lightning bolts or seducing a sober man for that matter. He'd been drunker than Cooter Brown the night that she spent in his arms in the back of the bedroom of a trailer. She fanned herself with a church program just thinking about those kisses that had turned her knees to jelly and caused her to drop her dress to the floor. The preacher said something about forgiving and forgetting, but she didn't want to forget that moment or that night. Finally, services were over, and Millie and Mary went to the nursery to collect Katie. Mommy, look at the kitty. Katie sing-songed and pointed towards a stuffed black and white cat she had put in the toy cradle and covered with a blanket. Lovely child, the nursery attendant said, and she absolutely the spitting image of her father, all those blonde curls and blue eyes. I know he must be really proud of her. Millie almost swallowed her tongue. She tried to deny the statement, but she couldn't stand right there after the Sunday services in a church house and lie more than she could have seduced Beau in the Sunday school room. Oh, hello, Sarah. Mary smiled brightly. I see you've met my granddaughter Millie and her daughter Katie. They're staying with us this summer while Jim is recuperating from surgery. Sarah nodded her head until all three of her chins wobbled up and down. Lovely child. I was just telling Millie that Katie looks a lot like her father. When he carried her in here, I thought to myself, Sarah, there's one man you couldn't deny his daughter. And he's such a good daddy. Stayed here with Katie until that child was comfortable with me. Most fathers just let the mothers bring them down here and drop them off. Some of them, I'm not sure who they belong to, but this baby sure is like her daddy. Well, she may look like her father, but she's got her mother's temper. Mary winked mischievously at Millie. Millie finally exhaled as they carried Katie down the hall, and Mary was right behind her. That was so scary. Mary shook her head. She's not blind, and there will be others who say the same thing when they see the two of them together. Just do what you intend to do about this lovely child looking so much like her. What do you intend to do about this lovely child looking so much like her father? It's not a matter of me or your poppy telling it either. Millie stopped dead in her tracks. Whatever are you talking about? You know what I'm talking about. Sarah saw him with her for a few minutes, and she knew. Someday soon, Beau will see it too. So you better think just about what you're going to do to handle this. Sarah's liable to be the very one to tell him next week if you let him back in the nursery, Mary said. I love this stuff. Okay. I was thinking the same thing for me and Katie to do next week is to forget about that picnic in the park in the afternoon. We need to pack our bags and go back to West Texas. Can't run from it, girl. Beau would search the ends of the earth for you now, girl. Besides, you're a Torres, and you don't run from your problems. You stand and face them. Grab them by the horns just like they were a charging bull. Stare them right in the eye and spit on them if you have to. But you damn sure don't run from them. Now get on out of here and have a wonderful afternoon. Beau ain't stupid and he ain't blind. He's a good man, and evidently you saw something good in him at least one time. But I expect pretty soon he's going to be pretty upset when he finds out he's got a daughter and you didn't tell him a thing about her, Mary said bluntly. Millie stopped in the hall, wanted to cut and run to the farthest corner of the earth. Somewhere, no one knew her or Katie, and never heard the name Luckadoo. She could always make a living for the two of them on the ranch, and there were lots of ranches scattered over the U.S. She finally kissed her grandmother's cheek. I love you, Granny. But I'm about to tell him that I'm not about to tell him about Katie just yet. The whole thing is so new that it's got me baffled. I need to sort out my feelings until I confront him with this big thing. Beau was waiting right outside the church door. Hey, I thought you ran off to Land of Oz with Miss Katie. Come here, baby, and let old Beau carry you down the bronc and put you in the saddle. We'll go find us some lunch and play all afternoon. Do you like minnows? We're going to find a creek bed with water so shallow that you can play with the minnows. He took Katie from her mother, propping her up on his hip with one hand, and reached down and took Millie's hand in his with the other. Millie put the diaper bag in the back seat and looked around hopelessly. Oh no, I left my purse in the church. I'll be right back. He nodded and finished strapping the baby into the seat as Millie headed back to the church. Katie and I'll put some music on and we'll be fine, won't we, baby? Now what do you want to hear? Are you a Clint Black fan or do you like Miss Reva better? Twinkle Star, Katie said. So you like Twinkle Star, do you? He asked. She was thumbing through the CDs when an old man knocked on the window of the truck. Beau rolled down the window and raised an eyebrow. Morning, son. I'm Tommy Rogers. Been going to this church here with Jim and Jerry for 100 years. Give or take a few. Just wanted to tell you that you and your little family is welcome here. We just need you young folks in our church, and any kind of kin folks of Jim's as friends of ours. One thing for sure, you sure got a pretty wife and little baby girl. Thank you, but Beau tried to set him straight, but it was like pouring water on a duck's back, and the old fella kept talking. The little baby girl is a spitting image of you, even if you got your dimple on the right side. There where she smiles, maybe the next one will look like her mama. Pretty woman, wife of yours. Bet she can put you around the corner. Them brown eyes look like they, oh, here she comes now. Just come on back and then with Jim and Mary any time, and we'll make sure you feel right at home. Yes, sir. Beau rolled that window back up. Millie hopped into the truck and threw her purse on the back seat. I forgot my head if it wasn't glued on right tight. Did you know that fella? Beau's eyebrows drew in a firm line. Nope. He was inviting us back to church any time we want to come. Oh, you don't come to this church all the time. Guess I thought because Granny and Poppy Spencer's come over here, y'all did too. One moment. Turning into a water fiend. Okay. A cold shiver of reality climbed up the backbone and made a blonde hair on his neck prickle. Buster and Rosa go to the Catholic church over in Ardmore. I was going with Amanda up to Baptist church in Ardmore till last week. And Alice went to the one in Lagrone. Never been over here before, but I sure do like these people and the atmosphere. They are sweet folk. I'm starving. I think I could eat a whole Angus steer, hoofs, horns, and all. Calf fries? My favorite. Rolled in beer batter, deep fried, served with pinto beans and fried potatoes. He started the engine and eased out of the road, heading south until they reached the highway taking them back east to the ranch. You're a girl after my own heart. How about you, Katie? When you get to be a year old, you gonna like calf fries? Katie is 14 months old already. And honey, she can eat her weight in calf fries if I cut them up into little pieces. She quit eating baby food months ago and started eating whatever I eat. Beau did the math in his head. Birthday in April. What day? Millie turned down the music down low. April 20th. Beau had always been good with figures, and it didn't take a rocket scientist to figure out how long it was from the last week of July to April 20th. And it didn't take a biology major to know what had been evident to the old man in church was the pure truth. He peeped up in the rearview mirror at the baby sitting in the car seat. Reality was hitting him in the chest like a tornado ripping up a one whole courthouse. He remembered the copy of his own baby picture his mother kept on the mantel in the den. Take off the blue checkered bonnet and put on a little baseball cap, and it was Beau all over again, except the lightly tanned skin. You're pretty quiet. Are you hungry? She asked when they were nearly back to the Bar M when Rosa was supposed to have lunch ready. She packed a small duffel bag with shorts and a top along with a two-piece bathing suit. If she had the nerve to wear it in front of him, her stretch marks were still visible across her tummy, even if they were fading away slowly. Katie's diaper bag was crammed with everything she needed, plus a few of her favorite stuffed toys. Oh, rot, I forgot her favorite little plastic pail and shovel. Yep, I am, he said icily, but more than hungry. I'm madder than pure hell right now. He pulled the pickup off the road, then faced her. His eyes were slits behind his long lashes, and his nostrils were flared. They weren't even a single sign of a dimple in his cheek, and his eyebrows were one straight line. It was beginning to look as though he'd been right all along. They couldn't breathe the same air for more than a couple of hours without one of them getting angry. Well, what in the world's got your dander up? She hasn't done a single thing to rile him, just like she promised her grandparents if they didn't tell her secret she wouldn't give him the cold shoulder. It looked as though he was about to be as stable as water. 1 minute leaning closer to her at church services and the making fairly well swoon with lusty desire right there in front of the preacher and Almighty, and the next jerking the truck to a standstill. Jim and Mary Torres could forget about happy endings. It wasn't happening with Beau and Millie. He touched her cheek with his hand and turned her face toward back of the pickup truck. Look in that back seat and tell me what you see. She slapped his hand away from her face. My purse. Are you mad because I forgot my purse? Well, that's a stupid, ignorant thing to get so worked up over. I forgot Katie's plastic pail and shovel, too. Good grief, Beau. Have you ever forgotten anything before? It's not your damn purse, Millie. It's Katie. Why are you mad about Katie? She didn't puke on you or leave a wet spot on your jeans. Twinkle Star, Katie said. She calls all music Twinkle Star. She wants me to turn up the volume, Millie said. He clenched his teeth and slapped the steering wheel. Why in the hell didn't you tell me Katie was my daughter? Why didn't you make an effort to get me in touch with me when you found out you were having my child? She exhaled so long that her lungs ached. Oh. I want some answers. Her eyes narrowed and steam could practically be coming off the top of her head. Don't talk to me in that tone, and you don't get to raise your voice like that in front of my daughter again. She's mine too, damn it, he whispered loudly. And just how long did you think you were going to wait before you told me? Until she was grown? Hey, you were dumb jackass who was fixing to marry Amanda. What was I supposed to do? Come waltzing in with a baby daughter and say, oh, Amanda, meet your new stepdaughter? Hellfire, Beau. I damn sure didn't know what was going to show up across a cut fence from me and yelling, shouting about an Angus bull. When I found out I was pregnant, was I supposed to put out a bulletin with your picture on it and say, I slept with this man one night and he's the father of my baby? Can you help me find him? He doesn't hold his liquor well and he'll go to bed with any woman who's willing. I didn't know anything but your name and that your family was from Shreveport. There's a whole page of Leckadoos in the phone book in Shreveport. All you had to do was call any one of them and ask for Beau, and they would have told you how to get in touch with me, since I'm the only one named Beau. Besides, we're all related. Luckadoo is not such a common last name. She raised her voice almost high as her eyebrows. Sure, I could have called any one of them. Can you please tell me where Beau Luckadoo is so I can tell him that I'm pregnant from a one-night stand? And what would you have done? Crawled up on your fancy little tricycle and put on your shining armor and ridden all the way to West Texas to rescue that loose-legged woman who said the baby that she was carrying was yours? Get real. Even if you wouldn't have believed a story like that. Beau fumed. He wanted to turn around and stare at his daughter until his eyes memorized every detail from her unruly blonde curls to her toenails peeking out from the ends of her white leather sandals. With one breath he wanted to slap the thunder out of Millie for depriving him of his daughter for a whole year, not to mention the joy and anticipation of waiting for her for 9 months. With the next breath he wanted to reach across the seat and draw her close to his side and make her vow never to leave him again. Why don't you just take us to the Lazy Z? So I don't think this is a good idea for a picnic day after all. As a matter of fact, it might be a good day for me and Katie to go back to Hereford. I think we need a lot of space to get out all this worked out. It's pretty damn evident that the lady you kept talking about last night was a figment of your imagination, and darling, never did think you were such a great knight in shining damn armor. Well, it might be not a good day, but I promised my daughter a picnic, and by damn, we're having a picnic. I don't make promises I don't intend to keep, he declared. Beau, be realistic. You didn't even know you had a daughter until a few minutes ago that you had a child. When the newness wears off and the air clears, your common sense will tell you that there's more to a baby than just picnics. And what, Millie? I'm 30 years old. I think I know what there is to a child. And today we're going to the ranch for dinner and to the park this afternoon. Lord, wait till Buster sees Katie. If I hadn't found this out this morning, I would have known before the day was out, because Buster knows about that dream I had about you, even though he doesn't know just how far things went that night. He knows that you ran away and I found your earring. And besides, he knew me when I was a little kid. One look at Katie and he'd have been telling me how stupid I was. Guess what they say about me is true. I'm lucky in everything but love. That's the gospel truth, and it doesn't look like it's going to get a whole lot better in the near future. I told you last night you'd be kicking me across the state line when you got to know me. Like I said, you can just take me and Granny and Poppy right now. At the end of the summer, Katie and I will go back home, and you can just forget you figured it all out this fine June morning. Huh? He snorted. Miss Katie, I think your pretty mama has got cow chips for brains. Let's go see how your daddy's ranch. Bet you it's bigger and better than your Poppy's, and I bet you like Angus cows better too. When cows fly, she snorted right back at him. No Torres in this world would pick a fool Angus cow over a white face. He started the engine and pulled back out to the highway bound for the bar M. But a Luckadoo would, and Katie is a Luckadoo. Or haven't you noticed that dimple in her cheek? But that part was bovine tints and Torres, and don't you forget it. Beau just grinned really big. So now Beau knows that little Katie is his daughter, and I'm going to leave you with that tonight. And we are going to stop and start. Let's see, that was page 136, or 134, sorry. We're going to pick up at 156 tomorrow. And tonight, I want to wish you good health. I want to wish you much success in whatever you do, happiness, and may you find your happily ever after. That's my wish for you. I know that mine probably never will happen, and I've accepted it. I'm fine. But for all of you out there, I want you to have your love in your heart and in your bank, and much faith, hope, and joy. And stay safe. Keep your social distance. Keep your hands washed. Make sure that you're wearing your mask at all times. And if you can't wash your hands, have your hand sanitizer nearby. God bless.